I'm Pam Heller, AccuQuilt's cutting expert. Erica's in the house with me today. We're going to show you how to make our Go Hexagon Gardens throw quilt using our Go Cube English paper piecing 1-inch finished sides. This is a great cube. It has 4 of the most popular shapes: a hexagon, a half hexagon, a triangle, and a diamond.
That's right, and there's 2 dies for each shape. One to cut the paper template and one to cut the fabric a 1/4 inch larger, giving you that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, if you're not familiar with English paper piecing, it's a traditional technique that involves basting fabric around a paper template and then hand sewing those pieces together.
For more information on how to do English paper piecing, be sure to check out the pattern booklet that's included in your cube. There's also this great book called English Paper Piecing Made Easy by expert Katja Merrick, and we also have other video tutorials. You know, Erica, I love this quilt because it's a modern version of that very traditional grandmother's flower garden quilt. Right. I actually have one that my great-grandmother and her sisters and then my grandmother all made.
Oh my gosh.
And it's been passed down generation to generation. It was probably created in the 1920s. It is one of my most special things in my house. I just love it. Now, you can find the pattern for our quilt and the pattern book that comes inside the cube, or you can download it from AccuQuilt.com.
Perfect. So, are we ready to get started on our project?
Let's do.
Okay, so we're going to need just 2 dies because this just uses the one shape, the hexagon. So we've got our die to cut the paper templates, and we've got our die to cut the fabric.
Perfect.
So let's start with paper.
Excellent. Now, quilters, if you take a look at the pattern for this quilt, you'll see exactly what you need to cut. We're going to need a total of 563 paper templates for this project. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but with the die, it's going to go so quickly. So, Erica, let's cut out some of those paper templates first.
Great. So just like with a fabric die, you can measure a 1/4 inch across on either side. And you can cut up to 2 layers of cardstock at a time. I just have an 8.5 by 11 sheet. I folded it in half. I'm going to pop that on top.
Great.
And we're using the Go, but it would fit in any of our Go cutters. We could use the Go Me. We could use the Go Big.
There we go.
And I'm going to put that through.
All right. Now, when Erica's done cutting, I want to show you a great time-saving feature that we built into these paper template dies.
Okay, here you go.
Okay, this is so slick. All right. Now, look at this, quilters. Right here in the centers, we have actually punched a hole in the center. This is such a great time saver. Now, it allows you to do 2 things really easy. First of all, it allows you to put a pin in there in case you want to make sure that you pin the shape while you're basting, but it's also super slick for when you're trying to take those paper templates out once you've sewn your block together.
It is. I think it's probably one of my very favorite features. Now, we could just keep cutting more templates. I'll let you pick those up.
Thank you.
By taking our die, just move our paper down, make sure the blades are covered, put the mat on top, and we can cut again. We can just keep cutting because we've got some hexies to cut.
Excellent. Hey, here's kind of a pro tip. You don't have to always just use cardstock. You could actually use those cardstock mailers that come in the post every day and kind of recycle a little bit. I think that'd be great.
There you go. Okay.
All right, let's cut fabric.
Okay. So we've got our fabric die. And now we can go ahead and cut up to 6 layers of 100% cotton, just like our regular dies.
Right.
So I've got 2 pieces of our background fabric.
Okay.
I've got 1 for our centers.
Our little yellow centers.
Show them what we're making. That's
right there. And I always, Erica, make my centers the same color. Do you?
I do too. I think it gives you kind of a consistency, and I like having a constant background too.
Okay.
But if you want to do scrappy,
go for it.
Go scrappy. Now this green is going to be the leaf.
Yep.
And then I've got 2 layers for the petals. And again, this is what we're going for. Okay. So we're obviously going to have some extra centers and some extra leaves, but that's okay because we're going to need them anyway, right?
Yes. Okay.
All right, here we go.
All right.
So Miss Pam.
There we go. Give it a little love. Slide, don't lift.
Here we go.
here we go.
I'll let you show them off.
All right, here we go. Oh, look at all the colors.
Look at all that. Yeah.
I'm gonna pull back right here. Ta-da.
Perfect.
All right, now the next step after cutting the hexagons is to baste those pieces around paper templates. There are 3 different basting methods that you can use. Feel free to use whichever one works for you.
Absolutely.
First of all, you can hand baste through the cardstock like you see on this example right here, okay? But with this one, make sure you have to go back and remove all of the stitches, okay? Now you can also baste around the cardstock like we did in this one right here, okay? But you can leave those stitches in.
Right.
But the third method is actually your favorite, isn't it?
It is. So I always was a baste around the cardstock until I got a really good fabric glue stick. So with this, I can take, let me grab just one from Miss Pam here.
Okay.
And
I'll grab you a center.
Okay. And if you lay it down really quick and easy, you can just run that glue, flip it over, and keep going right around your cardstock.
Oh, see, that is so slick.
It's so slick. And, well, of course, when your fingers work right, it works even better. Okay, my little arms don't want to reach over there, but trust me, it works really well.
Yep, there we
So
go.
we've got a whole video on basting. So
Yes.
if you're not familiar with it, that's out there. I've got some ready to go.
Okay.
And you can see these have all been glue basted, so we don't have any steps. And Pam's going to show us how to get started sewing them together.
Perfect. Now, one of the things is that I really love about this technique of basting and sewing the pieces together is that I cut up all my pieces first.
Yes.
And then I put them in little Ziploc bags so they're all ready to go. So that way, if you're taking them on the road or however you want to go with them, they're all in one place.
Yeah, it's great for going on the go. So this is what we're working towards. So we've got our little rosette flower here.
Okay.
And here, I'm just going to clip these together for you.
Look at how cool that is.
And you got a needle and thread
Yep,
over there.
I do.
So Pam's going to get started. So we're going to start from the center out, right?
Right. Want to make sure that your needle is like a long, thin needle,
Yes.
okay? And that makes it easier for the process. I've tied a knot in one end. Now I'm just going to stitch these 2 pieces together. And listen, I am just going to barely grab 2 or 3 threads every time I'm stitching.
So while Pam whip stitches around that, you noticed when I handed it to her that I had a little clip on the bottom. I like to clip those pieces together because I think it helps them stay lined up. But I also feel like it lets me loosen my grip a little bit and cuts down on arm and hand strain from hanging on too hard to my little pieces to make sure they don't slip.
Right.
So Pam is going to whip those together. And again, we're going to start in the center and then work out. And you're going to go around and add those petals to your flower as you go.
And it's super easy, quilters. This is going to take me just a few minutes here to just kind of whip stitch these through. But again, really easy, a great project to take on the go.
Yeah, it really is. I think both of us have bags that we pack up and take with us when we're going.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is going to be.
Back when Taylor and Mason played soccer, and I sat at soccer fields forever,
perfect.
I had hexagons at soccer fields, and I just sat in my little car and sewed hexagons together. It was great. Okay. All right, I'm almost done here.
Perfect.
All right. Now, get these last 3. But you'll notice, quilters, I'm just doing a real easy whip stitch, just catching 2 or 3 of those threads. And we like 100% cotton.
Yep. But I know there are some people who like to use a polyester thread because you're pulling it across the edge of the cardstock. That can actually cause some wear and might fray your thread. So it's really whatever works best for you. That's one of the great things about the English paper piecing is you get to make it your own, just like with any of your other quilts.
Yeah. Love it.
So we've reached the end here. We're going to show you what this first piece looks like.
Okay.
And you'll want to pick a thread that's going to coordinate with your colors. You're going to see those little whip stitches just a little tiny bit.
Okay, so let's take our little clip off. I love the idea of the clip. So now look at this, okay? So this is the center, and then we're going to start building our quilt following that pattern.
Right.
Now here's my tip. Even if you have the pattern book, I would go to AccuQuilt.com and print out the page that has the diagram on it. And I think
That's
we have
right.
one of these
We've
here.
got that, because next we're going to start building out from there. So we're going to go ahead and take this, we've got our rosette, then we're going to build out, following the pattern, some background and leaf shapes. But those are going to kind of overlap. So what we are suggesting for another pro tip is to go ahead and print out, even if you've got the pattern booklet in your cube, go ahead and print this out on AccuQuilt.com and take a marker and divide up your sections so that you're working with a little bit smaller area maybe.
Right, because otherwise I feel like it gets so overwhelming.
It's going to get overwhelming. And again, we want to be able to take it on the go. So
Right.
you can go ahead and then number your different flowers as you go.
Yep. Yep. And I would tell you, quilters, like I would just come over here and just take and number my sections.
That's
right?
a great idea.
And I would use a pencil rather than a pen that it might bleed through to the fabric.
We would be sad if that happened.
We would.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and once, may I point out something?
Yes, you may.
All right. So once you've got your pieces sewn in and they're already surrounded by other pieces, you can go ahead and pop those cardstock pieces out. And again, you can use that hole and you can just use a crochet hook or a pen or whatever you've got handy and just pop those right out.
I use a little stiletto. I think it works great. Now, once all of your sections are done, you're going to put them together.
Right.
And make sure you remove all of those paper templates.
Yes.
And I would suggest that you give those pieces on the edge just kind of a quick press, because what we're going to do is we're going to trim it down so that the quilt has a straight edge
Right.
and not a hexagon edge.
Now, if hand piecing like this isn't your cup of tea,
Yes.
you can machine piece these as well and bypass the basting altogether. That's why we put a 1/4 inch seam allowance on the fabric. If you're interested in that, there are some great directions in the English Paper Piecing Made Easy book, or you can watch our video on the same technique.
Erica's going to show you. It's really fast. All right, now be sure to check all of those videos out. And I love all the options that our cube gives us. All right, quilters, to finish your quilt, all you're going to do is layer batting between the quilt top and the backing. You can pin or baste, quilt as desired, and then add your binding. Make sure you miter your corners. And that's it.
That's it.
Well, on behalf of Eric and I, thanks so much for joining us today. We hope you'll enjoy making this stunning quilt with your Go Cube English Paper Piecing 1-inch finish size block. And at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time
So you can quilt more.